All right, Aftershocks TV. We're back here with you guys and gals for another episode, and we've got a great one today for you folks. We're going back to the early days of the Bay Area thrash metal scene, as these guys were one of the first ones to do it out of San Francisco as part of that first wave of thrash metal back in the early 80s. And I'm pleased to have with me from the mighty Trauma, we've got drummer Kris Gustofson here on Aftershocks. Kris, thanks for coming on, man. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on. So Kris, Trauma, man, you guys are getting ready now to hit the road next month on the Digital Alliance Tour with the legendary Queensryche and Marty Friedman. It starts on March 3rd in Orlando, Florida, wraps up in St. Petersburg, Florida, in the middle of April there. A hell of a tour and lineup, man, of course. And yeah, so I mean, Kris, so I guess go ahead and start us off. Talk a little bit about the upcoming tour and how you guys are gearing up for it. And really, I mean, how did this all come to fruition? This is obviously got to be one of the biggest tours, I guess, the band's done in the band's history, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it kind of came around since we, unfortunately, our original singer, Donny Hillier, passed away. Brian Allen came into the fold, and he was in a band that toured with Queensryche in Europe. And I believe those guys had been friends for a long period of time. Anyways, Todd from Queensryche heard our new album and really liked it and played it for the band. And then they offered to, have us on board to do this tour. And that's kind of how that happened. And we're really super stoked and excited about it. I mean, we're definitely looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. You just brought up what you said about the new record. I mean, obviously, rave reviews with the band's latest LP, Awakening, which came out last summer. So obviously, everyone's had a good chance to really digest the record. In my opinion, I think it's the best record that you guys have put out over the last three since you've reformed about 10 years ago.
Right on.
And you guys really went heavy, on this one. It's a barn burner, I mean, it's I mean, the thing is obviously, I mean, like you just mentioned about Donny, the unfortunate passing of late Donny Hillier. But I mean, if you're gonna find someone to replace him, I mean, ex-Vicious Rumors vocalist Brian Allen, man, he is the perfect guy. In my opinion, he's just got such a great range and just overall just an excellent metal vocalist. So I mean, how did you guys want it with Brian coming into the fold? Like you said, I know you said he played with a band that obviously I toured with Queensryche. So talk about getting Brian into the band.
Yeah, we were this is during the pandemic, we were writing the material for the new album. And I was literally at the recording studio getting ready to track drums. And I got the call that Donny was really sick, might not make it through the night. Unfortunately, that came true. And so we just I canceled the session for that day. And then we waited, I don't know, 2-3 months, try to figure out what we're going to do, if anything at all. And the producer, Juan Ortega, said, oh, I may know a guy who might be really interested in possibly doing this. And we started talking to him. And one thing led to another. We had him come down and we got together and played and everything, thank God, just freaking clicked. And he liked us, we liked him. And he went in the studio and sang on a couple of the new tracks. And we were like, oh my God, this is going to be pretty cool, So it was a miracle that we were able to get the guy, that quick. We could have been looking, we could still be looking now,
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I mean, so you guys are planning, I mean, was this record already, were you maybe at least writing for the record while Donny was still with us or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We started writing a lot of the tunes in 2019.
Okay.
Towards the end of 2019. And then we played in January. We did a gig at the House of Blues down in Anaheim. And we opened up for Metal Allegiance down there.
Okay.
And then some months later is when Donny got sick, and it was a shock to everybody, So.
Yeah. I mean, did you guys think at any point when he passed, was it like, okay, I think we're done? I mean.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say he's only vocalist for 40 years, going back 40 years almost. So yeah.
Plus he was like my brother. I mean, I knew the dude from long time ago,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was a rough moment, to say the least. He actually wrote a lot of the lyrics for the Awakening album.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And there's a couple parts, I can't remember what song it is, but there's like 2 songs where we actually kept his voice on some of the backing vocals.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. Well, like, just going back to the musical direction, like I was saying, I mean, this is definitely an old school metal album along the likes of the band's debut classic, Scratch and Scream. And, like I said, the last 2 records, Rapture and Wrath and As the World Dies, to me, they were more of like a mid-tempo, hard rocking sort of record.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, Awakening really has just got that classic speed and thrash metal sound that you guys were known for, obviously, back in the early 80s, especially with your drums, the increase in the tempo of the songs just from the get-go, man, were just, just on fire. I mean, the best example of that obviously is the first single off the record, Walk Away, that came out last summer. So I guess, just talk a little bit, Chris, about the band's return to the original style and sound that you guys had from those early days. Did Brian coming in, did that really allowed you, I guess, maybe to get a little more heavier in there as opposed to what you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, basically with the Rapture and Wrath record, I'll just go back a little bit. I wasn't really too much of a fan of that, because we were just trying to get a sense of if people would even be interested in hearing anything from Trauma at the time, because we were gone for so freaking long. But we got a lot of good reviews off that record. And then we did As the World Dies. It got a little more, modernized, I guess. But then when we started doing the Awakening, I was kind of like, we need to go back to our roots a little bit. We gotta, this is like a, it's listen to the old Scratch and Scream record, basically. And we got to take, I wouldn't say elements from that, but just, it has to be, faster tempos, faster tempos, guitar riffs, overall just heavier, and that's what we shot for. And, we worked our asses off to make that album. And I think the way it came out was pretty cool. I think we achieved what we were after.
Yeah, it's a great record. It really is, and and
Congratulations.
yeah, oh, yeah, no, it is. It's a great record, man. And like I remember when you guys first reunited like 10 years ago for the re-release of Scratch and Scream, I know, and Shrapnel. I thought to myself that, you guys would probably play some shows, do maybe a tour, maybe overseas or something, even release possibly a new record, just sort of put a bookend on the nice, career of the band and the legacy. Because usually, I mean, that's what most bands who haven't released music, in
Right.
years at the time that you guys hadn't, released music in that long. But here it is now, 10 years later, you guys are more active than ever. You've released three, new records over the last 10 years. You're now going on tour with legendary artists like Queensryche and Marty Friedman.
Mhm.
And obviously, this is obviously even after the unfortunate loss of Donny.
Right.
I mean, obviously, and not a very easy guy to replace because he was an amazing singer. How did this renaissance happen the way it is now? I mean, did it just sort of take on a life of its own after you did the reunion 10 years ago? Was this something that
No,
did you
no,
personally really want to take
no,
this? Okay, talk about that.
no.
Yeah.
This is a constant. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't like the bullshit.
Mm,
This has been this has been very difficult, to say
sure.
the least. You know, I've been in the, even when Trauma was defunct all those years ago, we stopped doing shit. I always stayed busy as a drummer, doing other things, and I've seen the business from all those years ago and what it once was to now. I knew of it, how bad it was and everything, but ever since we resurrected this thing in 2013, we've had kind of a revolving door of people in and out of it, for one reason or another. And, it's definitely not an easy thing to do. I'm very grateful that we do have, people genuinely interested in the band, knew of the band from all those years ago, but, we're all passionate about it. We just want to try to have some fun doing this and playing the shows and all that. But it's a grind.
Yeah, I mean, because you're talking about a 30-year break. I mean, you're essentially starting over from scratch, really, in a day and age of music that's not. It's as you know, it's not very kind of musicians as a whole, let alone a band that hasn't been active in some decades. I mean, it's kind of
Right.
quite remarkable. I mean, what you guys are doing right now, it really is. I mean, getting on this tour now, having this great record out, man, I just got to give it to you because that's something you don't see very often. What you
Yeah.
guys are accomplishing right now.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. So let me ask you, Chris, too. With
yeah.
with Scratch and Scream, man. I mean, it's just such a great record. I really recommend everybody out there to go ahead if they haven't heard that record, man, to go check that out because it's a classic to me. I mean, unfortunately, I think obviously there's a lot of reasons I think it didn't get really the notoriety it did. Obviously, at that time, with Cliff Burton going on in Metallica, just the thrash scene explosion in the Bay Area.
Mhm.
Obviously, even though you guys were a thrash band, like to me, you guys obviously always had more influences though than just thrash. You had a lot of that new wave of British heavy metal influences in
Right.
there. Some of the '70s stuff. I mean, I guess the question I ask is, I guess just talk a little bit about what happened. Why did it take 30 years to release a follow up to such a great record? I mean, I've just always wanted to know that. It's just
Yeah. Man, all those years ago, the problem was we really didn't have any direction. It kind of could sound like bullshit to a certain degree, but we were still playing gigs and everything like that. But it just didn't seem like it was really going anywhere, to tell you the truth.
okay.
And everybody started getting a little, I don't know. Everybody's kind of started doing different things. So the next thing we knew, there really wasn't a band anymore, So me and Donny stayed in touch over the years, and we always would joke around like, hey, maybe one day we should try putting Trauma back together. And it's like, okay. And then another 2, 3 years, 4 years would go by. And then 2013 came, and Mike Varney was really interested in doing a re-release on Scratch and Scream.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, maybe you guys should have a band in case you get any offers to go play festivals over in Europe or anything. So we did, we tried the original lineup that played on the Scratch and Scream album, but at that point in time, not everybody could really commit to doing it, because it was going to be a pretty heavy duty commitment, So that's when we started having to recruit other people to get into it. Mm-hmm. And then 2014, we played the Headbangers Open Air Festival over in Germany. And that was kind of an indication from the fans that were there that we had a really good, they received us really, really well. It was kind of shocking, to be honest. And it's like, oh, maybe we got something here. So we just, kept at it. But, it's a long time from when we stopped till then, we knew we had to record a new album at some point. Mm-hmm. And we weren't too sure which direction to go in at the time. And the guitar player we had at the time, a real good friend of mine, is more of a hard rock kind of guitar player. Okay. Really good guitar player. But we had to kind of test the waters first, like I said, and just, if that makes any sense, and just see if there's even, with journalists and people like that, even if there's any interest at all, and there was. And that's when we did As the World Dies. Up till now. So
yeah, no, it's
kind of the story about that.
you know, and one of the thing is about Trauma, you know, obviously you guys, the band name is always going to be obviously forever tied sort of to Metallica because of Cliff being in the early version of the band.
Mhm.
And although I mean, it's got to obviously be an honor, I would think that, you know, it's obviously a great thing for many reasons to be tied to that. I would think on the flip side, though, I mean, here's a guy, I mean, he never recorded a record with the band. And yet, you know, when a
Right.
lot of people hear the name Trauma and Bay Area Metal, the first thing they think of is, oh, that's Cliff's old band. I mean, they don't think of, oh, that's the band that put out that great debut Scratch and Scream, or the band with this
Right.
new great record Awakening. So obviously people always going to relate, you know, the band name to Cliff. And it's been, though, now over 40 years since he was even in the band. And you've got
Right.
four full
Right. Right.
lengths that he's never played on. So again, of course, great to have that. But does it get to you a bit old or frustrating when a lot of metal fans can't really seem to look past that Cliff connection, and you know, maybe sometimes they just don't give the band a fair shake because they just think of that being Cliff's old band? I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, could be. You know, I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, you know, I saw Metallica when they were starting out at like the old Waldorf, and I mean, they blew my mind when I saw them. You know, I mean, these guys haven't stopped in 40 years. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, Cliff was in Trauma at one point in time. You know, he jumped. He had the band's blessing to go over to Metallica. You know, and wish him the best of luck. And I give Metallica a hell of a lot of credit for what they've accomplished over all these years. And you know, if people want to, you know, everyone's got an opinion. You know.
Mhm.
And if people want to say what they want to say, that's cool. But the only real way that I could think that to conquer that is, you know, doing stuff like we're about to do, go out and do this tour with Queensryche, and, you know, really just get out there and really just do what we do, you know, just play live. And, you know, this is something the band's wanted to do for a long time, you know. So just like I said, opinions don't really bother me in any way. You
Okay.
know? Yeah.
I mean, but is it one of those things that maybe one of the goals you guys have is sort of to like now create this sort of new and, you know, sort of reinvigorate the legacy of the band so that you could sort of shake off that and just be remembered now as just Trauma, the great,
Yeah. I
really
mean,
excellent metal band.
yeah. I mean, if we can, you know, get to a point of doing that, yeah, that'd be great. You know, but I think that's always going to be a part of the band's history for until this thing is no more. You know, and that's fine. You know, it was a really cool time back then. You know, and I'm sure there's other stories out there of, you know, Megadeth and all these other bands that the same thing happened with. You know, it's just like history and the making of all this. You know, so
yeah, no, that
yeah,
makes sense. Absolutely, yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
So, before, you know, I was talking before about Shrapnel Records earlier, and you mentioned Mike Varney, obviously, and his iconic label, the first independent metal label ever to in existence. And of course, you know, you're going to be playing now on tour with another alumni of the infamous label in Marty Friedman, who of course was a staple on that label with, you know, his old band Hawaii, Cacophony, and the soul albums as well. Did you know Marty at all when he first moved here to the Bay at all? Did you ever get to play with him back in the day? No.
You know, someone asked me that earlier. You know, man, I don't remember. Tell you the truth, man. We played so many freaking gigs in the early '80s with so many different bands, man. I don't know.
Okay. That's a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And it's kind of like I can remember some stuff, but it's like, you know, I mean, there was music going on 7 nights a week, you know, for years. So it's like you can't remember every freaking band you played with, you know. But you know, maybe when I run into him on this tour, maybe he'll say, "Oh, you remember when we played at the Stone or whatever it was?" You know, it could happen.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, how crazy is it just to think now? Here it is, though, 40 years later. I mean, you're touring now with Queensryche and him, and you know, doing this you know, big Digital Alliance Tour here in the States. You got to pinch yourself, I guess. I mean, you couldn't have really, I guess, ask for it to go any better, you know, especially with all what you've been through. Like you said, it's been a grind, obviously, with Donny's passing. I mean, it's just got to be a great feeling, though, for you to have to, you know, to be on this tour.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, it's hard to describe, man, because it's, you know, it's there's been a lot of ups and downs, man, you know, just a tremendous amount of, you know, bad things, man. I don't want to get too weirded out with that, but it's like, you know, it hasn't been easy. And yes, to be perfectly honest with you, man, I'm very thankful that we're able to do this, you know, and everybody's stoked to do it. And we're looking to go out there and kick some ass and really have some fun and meet people. And, you know, and we hope everybody likes what we do, you know, and it's, I feel really blessed to have the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I did see that, obviously, you know, bassist Greg Christian's no longer in the band. Who do you got going on with you now on tour on bass? Do you got someone lined up as of yet? Or?
Yeah. We have Michael Spencer that's going to be filling in right now. He's a bass player, played with Flotsam and Jetsam years ago. Really great guy, really good bass player. And that's who's on the bass right now.
All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, once again, the band is Trauma. The latest release is titled Awakening. It's out now on Massacre Records. Go see the band live starting next month on the Digital Alliance Tour with Queensryche and Marty Friedman. And Kris, go ahead. Let the viewers and listeners know where they can keep up with Trauma, buy the record, merch, and all that good stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, go, you know, check our website out, www.traumametal.com. We got merch, CDs, all the information on the band, all that stuff. So we hope we see you out there on the road, and I guarantee you a good time.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add about what's going on in the band? You know, news or anything that's going on right now, or is you just gearing up for the tour? And
yeah, we're just gearing up for the tour. We're starting to play around with some ideas for some new tracks. We could be recording again sometime. I wouldn't say this year, maybe towards the later part of this year, maybe hopefully in the fall, we may have the opportunity to go over to Europe again. So we do have some stuff in the works. So try to keep it alive.
Oh, well, you definitely keep it alive with this great new record, Awakening, Kris, you know, and yeah, absolutely. Everybody go ahead and check them out on the road with Queensryche and Marty Friedman. Digital Alliance Tour starts March the 3rd in Orlando. And Kris, appreciate you coming on, man, and talking about Trauma.
Thank you. Thank you for your time too.
Absolutely. And good luck on the road, man. And you know, we'll see you out there for sure soon.
Cool, man.
Right.
Well, thanks again, brother.